Okay, this is my non-spoiler review of Deadpool and Wolverine. I have a spoiler review where I talk about the cameos in the movie, and I'll put the link below. And I also talk about the ticket prices at Regal Cinemas, way too high. So I have that down below too. Deadpool and Wolverine is probably my favorite Marvel movie since Spider-Man: No Way Home. Um, Even with that film, it started off kind of slow, but then um, Andrew Garfield popped up, and then Tom Holland popped up. Then Tobey Maguire popped up, then Tom Holland joined these two. And it's like, oh my god, now this is a movie. So that movie was great. But Deadpool and Wolverine is different because it's great from start to finish. The soundtrack is wonderful. I love like Boogie Nights. Boogie Nights was great. Mainly, it's a great film, but the soundtrack was impeccable. And if you're an MTV kid, if you're a Generation X person, um, this soundtrack spans from the 60s to the 2000s. So you're hearing like Aretha Franklin's "You're All I Need to Get By," which is a remake of the Tammy Terrell Marvin Gaye hit, to "Bring 'Em Out" by T.I., "Instinct's Bye Bye Bye," um, "Iris" by the Goo Goo Dolls, which I love. "If This Is It" by Huey Lewis and the News, which I love. "Like a Prayer" by Madonna was used really good. "This Is How We Do It" by Montel Jordan. Like this, I almost wish that Ryan and Hugh had their own Sirius XM channel for a month, like the Deadpool channel, because this is like the ultimate Spotify playlist. I love this soundtrack. I hope they actually put out a soundtrack of these songs because it's so good. But outside of the music, the acting was really good. Um, the writing was good, and it's just because of three people. It's because of Ryan Reynolds, Shawn Levy, and Hugh Jackman. Shawn Levy is the director. Um, he directed Nights in the Museum, uh, the Robin Williams, Ben Stiller films, and he's worked with Ryan Reynolds on Ryan's last few films. So there's a connection there. And in fact, Hugh Jackman worked with Levy years ago, and I think he said in an interview that he said, like, I think you and Ryan will work well together. And this is way before Deadpool, so Hugh knew something. Um, Speaking of Hugh Jackman, Hugh Jackman, I always felt like he should have been nominated for an Oscar for Logan. Even if you just take the comic book element out of it, Logan was a really good drama. You dealt with a Wolverine. He was facing mortality. He was trying to protect his mentor and Professor X, played by um, Sir Patrick Stewart, and he's trying to defend this young girl, played by Daphne King, who's just like him. So Hugh Jackman was just epic in that film. One of the best comic book movies ever. Um, and I feel like he should be nominated again for an Oscar um, for this film, because he gives you everything. He gives you every Wolverine he's played in 24 years. He's put in this film. He played the violent, angry, bitter, tough Wolverine, but he also plays him very conflicted. He played him as a coward. He plays him as a hero. He plays him as a guy who's given up. He gives you everything um, from his Wolverine character. The only thing you don't get is the flirty Wolverine that he had with Jean Grey in those early X-Men movies, which was part of the comic book lore, with the triangle between Wolverine and Cyclops and Jean Grey. But outside of that, like, Hugh Jackman was excellent in this film. There's so much dramatic depth to this film. Yeah, most of it is Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool cracking all the jokes, but there's a heart to this movie. There's a dramatic depth to this movie. Like, it's when you look at Hugh Jackman, like, Hugh Jackman is probably one of the most underrated actors of his generation. Like, if Denzel's at the top, Hugh Jackman should be in the top 10 someplace. Because when you see Hugh is very jovial. He is a song and dance man. Like, he's always seemed like he's sunny, he's happy. But when you see him play Wolverine or some dramatic role where he's just angry and intense, it's like, man, where does that come from? Because he's such a happy, sunny person. Bryan Cranston's the same way. John Hamm's the same way. It's always amazing when you see these guys when they play these conflicted, sometimes bitter, angry, surly, villainous type dudes. And Wolverine's not a villain, but I'm just using this as an example. And they're totally different. They're lighthearted and fun people. And Hugh Jackman doesn't get enough credit for his acting. One of these days, he's going to get the Cecil B. DeMille Award from the Golden Globes, and people are going to look at all the stuff he's done over the years and realize, wow, like, he is super talented, and we just really didn't praise him as much as we did. And now I have to talk about Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds, he did something in this movie that most people today, especially if you look over what they're doing with Lucasfilms, with the Acolyte and that mess over there, he's doing something that Chris Nolan does, the Russo brothers do. He looks at legacy and he looks at the audience. He understood the legacy of Deadpool. I think there was a video someplace where he's talking about, he was at Blade 3. He was in Blade 3, I think, talking behind the scenes, talking about how much he loves the Deadpool character, way before he even had a chance at the role. So he understood Deadpool. But he also understands the fans. Over with the Acolyte, over with Kathleen Kennedy and all that stuff over there, it seems like they're going out of their way to destroy what George Lucas built and to alienate the fans. And you need the fans. Yes, when you're making these things, you shouldn't think about the fans all the time. You should write the film or a TV show that you want to make. But at the same time, you got to think about the legacy of the characters and how they fit in that universe. And also, you have to think about the fans. Because the fans don't like it, you're screwed. And Acolyte didn't work because the fans hated it. And it doesn't help if you're fighting the fans. Ryan Reynolds understands the fans because he was a fan. He is a fan. So, like for instance, in the comic books, there's brutal fight scenes between Wolverine and Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds gave you fight scenes between Wolverine and Deadpool. It wasn't even just one. He did multiple because that's something that the fans wanted. There's costumes that the fans, there's things that the fans always wanted to see from Wolverine that they never got from the X-Men movies for whatever reason. And he's giving it to them in his movie. If this is the last time we see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, it's a wonderful send-off. I thought Logan was a wonderful send-off when that came out. But this here ties in everything. Now you can't say, well, Hugh Jackman was wonderful, but I wish they did this with Wolverine. You're getting this in Deadpool and Wolverine. It's almost like Ryan Reynolds. Okay, what has Wolverine not done in film? What have we not seen in Wolverine in film? And he did that. I would love to see a behind the scenes of how they put this thing together. From the time Hugh Jackman said, "I'm in, I want to do this with you, Ryan," to because Hugh Jackman was done. He said, "I'm done." After Logan said, "I'm done," and he saw Deadpool, he's like, "Crap, I think I made a mistake." And he called Ryan and said, "I want to be in Deadpool 3." And from that point, I would love to see, from the cameos to the writing to everything, like how did they put this script together? And because I think that's a wonderful documentary of this film. Now, Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige is the guy who runs the MCU. He runs Marvel Studios. And if I'm him, I'm watching this film on a loop because yes, Kevin Feige has a whiteboard of all his future projects. They have the Avengers films coming out. They have all these things, and they've already deleted some things that they're not going to do. They're not going to do another Eternals movie. Like they already said, like this project they're not going to do. They probably won't do another She-Hulk. There's a lot of stuff they're scrapping, right? So they have an idea what they want to do. Kang Dynasty, whatever they want to name it, even though they should bring back Jonathan Majors, but that probably won't happen. So they already know what they want to do. But to be honest, I think Kevin Feige should look at Deadpool and Wolverine as Marvel 3.0. It's almost like everything should come off this movie. I think there should be spinoffs from this movie. I think Ryan Reynolds delivered a treasure chest of ideas to Kevin Feige with some of the cameos he had, with some of the critiques. Like there was Deadpool. There was a lot of critiques from Ryan Reynolds about what happened to the MCU universe and the multiverse and everything like that. Like I think Kevin Feige should really write these things down because Ryan Reynolds is saying stuff that the fans are saying, what the commentators are saying, what people have been saying. Like once upon a time, Marvel, at one point, especially from Iron Man on, they had more hits than misses, and now they've had more misses than hits. And I think Ryan Reynolds did a good job talking about these things. And then also at the end, there's two post credits. The one post credit was okay. The second one's good, but the first one was really, really emotional, and it makes you think about the history of the Marvel universe and everything like that. And again, like Kevin Feige has to think back, like how were you before? Like, because Kevin Feige, he's been around the whole time. So I do wonder, like, if Kevin Feige is looking at this first post credit scene and said, "Man, how was I when I was first starting out here? How was I when I took over? What type of meetings did we have back then? Like, what was our mission back then? Like, how am I different now? Like, how can I improve? How can I revisit that Kevin Feige? How can I use Doctor Strange portal going like this and go back and talk to that Kevin Feige and figure out what did I do wrong? Yeah, I wish I didn't have one Doctor Strange rings going like this." Speaking of which, The actress, I forget her name, who played Charles Xavier's sister, was excellent. She reminded me of Kate Blanchett when she was in Thor Ragnarok. Fantastic villainess. I wish I could see more of. I wish I could see Kate again from Thor, and I wish I could see this actress. I wish I forgot her name, but she's really talented, really good. So yeah, Kevin Feige, like really pay attention to what's going on. And again, if you're a young writer, if you're a person and you're taking over a franchise in the comic book world and you don't know what to do, go talk to Ryan Reynolds. Wherever Ryan Reynolds figured out, I think Ryan Reynolds has created a formula that a lot of writers and producers and directors can use moving forward for comic book movies. Now, is Deadpool the Dark Knight? No, it's not the Dark Knight. But is it one of the better comic book movies that's come out in a while? Absolutely. And I think young writers, producers, and directors probably should talk to him. If they can, even talk to Chris Nolan, the Russo Brothers, Ryan Reynolds. Like, talk to people who've had success in these things and figure it out. Stop going over. Stop like, we're gonna look for a new way of reimaging the character. Screw that. Give the fans what they want. Create a great story, but give the fans what they want, and think about legacy. So, what do you guys think about Deadpool and Wolverine? I think it's a very good comic book movie. Probably in my top 15. I have to think about it. I don't know if it's in my top 10, but it's really good. I actually want to see it again. But it's a solid flick, man. So if you're looking for something to do and you need to see a film this summer, go check out Deadpool and Wolverine. But what do you guys like? Who do you think was the MVP of this film? Was it Ryan Reynolds? Was it Hugh Jackman? Was it the cameos? Was it the direction? Was it the Easter eggs? Let me know.